Welcome back to another video. Quickly before we get started into as you can see by the title, the Knicks and the Wolves trade. Basically, just want to tell y'all I'm actually gonna be back this time. Last time I said I was gonna be back on Twitch and streaming, and then on YouTube here. I was not back. Okay, but this time I'm actually gonna be back. Uploading or on Twitch at least like 3 to 4 times a week. As you can see, I mean, maybe you really can't because I'm wearing a hat, but my hair is gone, okay? I shaved my head, had some things going on, obviously not going to get too much into detail about a whole bunch of why I was gone, stuff like that. But, obviously now we're going to go into, obviously, what you actually clicked on the video for. I could have made this video, obviously, initially when it first happened, but with a trade like this, where I think honestly the winner and just a lot about this trade is honestly really interesting and kind of a hard to choose who really won situation. Like I just took a week to process it, kind of think about how do I go about, talking about this trade. Because I think it's kind of interesting. And so yeah, full details of the trade is Karl-Anthony Towns goes to the Knicks. The Wolves get Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, first round pick. I'm pretty sure it's updated by now. This is kind of a little bit old, this that I'm looking at. I'm pretty sure the Wolves also got Keita Bates, Diop, and then the Hornets were like included in the trade. They got Daquan Jeffries, I think Dwayne Washington's contract, something like that. So yeah, but these are basically all the people that matter in the trade. The first round pick is protected by Detroit, so it likely will just be a second round pick based off the protections on it. Unless for some reason the Hornet or not the Hornets, the Pistons are actually a good team, which we know the Pistons. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, anyone who actually does kind of know about like the salary cap and how that kind of works, kind of saw that it was inevitable that Cat would be eventually traded from this Timberwolves team if it obviously didn't work out, simply because they just don't want to pay that heavily over the salary cap. They just signed Anthony Edwards to his extension, Jaden McDaniels to his extension. That's going to kick in soon. They're getting paid obviously quite a bit from that. Naz Reid, they also extended. I think you're honestly getting kind of a cheaper contract for what Naz Reid is worth, but it's still a lot of money. And then you have obviously Cat's contract, which we'll get into kind of how much he gets paid by year. And then you had Rudy Gobert's contract, which is also a lot of money. And if you kind of take a look at that team, obviously they want to build around Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid. They're kind of the young guys. So those guys were already off limits of who they're not thinking about trading. It was probably really coming down to Cat and Rudy Gobert. And based off, Rudy Gobert's age, mixed in with the fact that playoff success for Rudy Gobert hasn't been too well because of, his limited offense and spacing on the court. And then also, he literally just got played off the court for Team France in the Olympics. Not a good look. His trade value probably was nowhere near Cat's, trade value. And so, yeah, I think the way they went about the trade, though, it doesn't help them at all. You're trading for a guy like Julius Randle where, the biggest problem I have with this trade, like I said, is what you got back in this trade for the Timberwolves, I don't know if I like. And then mixed with the fact that you have a guy who's been on your franchise for 9 years, his whole career, and you just end up trading him without any warning, kind of. They just didn't even like, hey, Cat, you want to pick a few different destinations of places you would want to go, stuff like that. Or at least, tell them, yeah, we're going to trade you this, or this, or we're looking to trade you. Or even at this time of the year where literally a few days later, there was obviously, there was media day, and now there's, literally preseason starting today. Like, at this time, I think it was just mismanaged. It doesn't feel too right. But the NBA is a business. It's bound to happen. I thought they would at least test him out for at least till trade deadline, see what this team looks like at trade deadline. Because obviously they were starting to build something. Last year they were really, really good. Finished as, I'm pretty sure, the 2 or the 3 seed. I think they had the same record as the Nuggets, so I don't remember what seed exactly. But yeah, they started putting something together, and then they ended up obviously trading Cat now. And then, like I said, the biggest problem I have with the trade, if let's start getting into some of the cap situations. Hold up. Let's do that right now. All right. So here we are. We're taking a look kind of at the Timberwolves cap situation. And here you go. You're getting Julius Randle back. And you get Dante DiVincenzo. Where's Dante DiVincenzo? Here he is. Dante DiVincenzo, I like his contract. I think he's a really, really good team-friendly contract. I like the addition of him. But yeah, Julius Randle here. The biggest problem I have with this trade, yeah, you're paying less for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo combined, I guess. But here's the biggest problem is if this doesn't work with Julius Randle on this team, he has a player option next year. And the biggest problem of this trade is, you traded Cat because you want to free up some salary while also retaining some assets that could help you at least get some depth, stuff like that. And if he either accepts his player option or denies it, he could basically tell the Timberwolves, yo, you're going to have to pay me as much money as I want, because if not, I could just walk away in free agency, and you traded Cat for Dante DiVincenzo and a second-round pick. So I mean, that's the biggest problem, is they could fully lose their assets. And if they do end up paying Julius Randle, then it doesn't solve the situation either, because you're still ending up, paying a guy a lot of money. And that's the whole reason you traded Cat. It wasn't because they didn't like the fit of Cat, or they didn't think, it was going to work out with Cat. They needed to simply get rid of money. So yeah, I mean, the hardest problem with this trade is just simply what they got, and I was thinking about like what they could have done for the Wolves to make a trade like this, and try to go to a different team where they at least like kind of balance of, I think, getting younger players who their extensions would kick in once they're off of the Rudy Gobert contract, maybe kind of guys on like rookie contracts still. But it's really hard to find teams like that where they're not rebuilding situations, and I think they still wanted to do right by Cat and trade him to a situation where he's not stuck in rebuild for 9 years. He was with the team through multiple rebuilds, and then to trade him to another rebuilding team, I think that would just suck. So like, I think they tried to weigh their options with that too. But yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the team, I mean, they have a lot of salary. I wonder what lineup they're really going to run, to be honest. Are they going to start Naz Reid over Julius Randle? I think Julius Randle's getting paid too much to have him come off the bench, whether you think Naz Reid's better or worse. I'm pretty sure Julius Randle isn't going to be healthy to start the season fully. So, I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, then let's go over to the Knicks payroll and why I could see why they, lost. We're going to kind of go over why I think each team potentially could win. So yeah, this team is really expensive now. They traded for Cat. As you can see, this year $49 million. Next year, 2025, 2026, $53 million. Then the 2026-2027 season, $57 million. And then the last year of the contract, in 2027-2028 season, he's getting paid $61 million. Obviously, Jalen Brunson took a pay cut, which is really the only way they could have got this done. But yeah, I mean, you have Mikal Bridges getting paid $23 million, Jalen Brunson $24 million, OG Anunoby $36 million, Mitchell Robinson $14 million, Josh Hart $18 million. Like, this team is paying a lot of money, and if I had to choose a reason why I think they could lose, is simply, one, they gave up a little bit of depth. I think Miles McBride could step into that role, though, and it'll be fine. Yeah, I think Dante DiVincenzo is obviously still better, but, like, you're getting Karl-Anthony Towns in return. But, yeah, the whole who won this trade situation is kind of hard, because if the Knicks go win a ring, they won the trade. Like, you can't really say they didn't, win the trade. But what it comes down to is if they don't, or they don't achieve what they expect to achieve, they could be stuck in a really bad situation. This Cat contract, likely, if for whatever reason, he has a few down seasons, or the team's not working out and Cat loses some of his value, his trade market is going to be really hard when he gets paid $57 or $61 million these last 2 years of this contract. OG Anunoby, who, I think for how much money he's getting paid, it's going to be a pretty hard contract to maybe trade for in about 2 years. And yeah, so I mean, it's like if this team doesn't work out, you don't have many ways to really go. You kind of traded all your picks away to get Mikal Bridges. I don't know what other picks they really have, but I don't think they have many other picks. So it's like, you don't really have much else to go with this team. So it's either this team works or nothing works. I mean, to make a trade out of this situation is going to be pretty hard, unless you kind of flip someone like Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson in the same trade. That gives you enough money to trade for someone that is kind of near like $30 million. But if this team doesn't work out, then I could really see a world where the Timberwolves win this trade. But this is one of those trades where I think you have to wait for it to kind of play out to see who really wins the trade. I think in terms of a perspective of not just who won the trade, but the actual team itself, this Knicks team is going to be an insane team. Bringing Cat to the team, I think, makes it just insane. I think the biggest problem I would say with Cat coming to this team is Mitchell Robinson is going to be out for a little bit, and the biggest reason why the Timberwolves traded for Rudy Gobert is because Karl-Anthony Towns might be built like a center, but he struggles playing the actual center position. Defense at center, it's not that good. So, I wonder how that's going to look. But, regardless, I mean, you still have OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart around him. I would find it really hard for this team to still be bad at defense either way. So, at the end of the day, it might not matter. I'm just giving kind of my potential cons of the team. But yeah, back to the Timberwolves, right? Where I could see a world where they win the trade. For every Timberwolves fan, don't worry. There's still a chance your GM cooked up, okay? So yeah, I mean, if you take a look at this team, you're obviously kind of banking a lot more on maybe another step from Jaden McDaniels, another step from Naz Reid, hoping that Rob Dillingham obviously works out how you want him to in a few years. But yeah, I mean, I think adding a piece like Dante DiVincenzo is really good. This obviously creates a lot of flexibility for your team, obviously getting rid of the Cat contract. With how expensive this team is, if, like I said, for the Knicks, if Cat doesn't, play too well or he gets injured or whatever the reason is, his value kind of decreases. That contract is going to be really hard to trade now or in a few years. So getting rid of that contract now while you can, I think is not a bad, it's not a bad decision. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem for this team is going to simply be managing, some of their aging players like Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert. Are they going to fit into the timeline with the rest of their young guys? By the time Rob Dillingham gets, hopefully pretty good, is Rudy Gobert going to be like fully washed? Mike Conley's probably going to be out of the league by then because he is 36. And yeah, so I mean, it's kind of about managing that, because even if Rob Dillingham does become pretty good and Naz Reid, I guess, takes over the Rudy Gobert role, you lose a lot of your depth. You're not going to have as much depth. Obviously, there's still probably going to be decisions they make, so they probably would retain that. And then the fit of Julius Randle. I mean, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say the fit isn't going to be that good. But I think people kind of struggle to realize that Julius Randle literally played in New York with Mitchell Robinson. And no diss to Mitchell Robinson, but yeah, him and Rudy Gobert both can't shoot. So a lot of people are questioning the spacing of the team now that you have Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle. But Julius Randle played with Mitchell Robinson, who also can't shoot a ball. And Rudy Gobert is the better defender. So, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I wouldn't say it's as good of spacing as with Cat, because obviously Cat is one of the biggest, or one of the best big men shooters of all time. But you know, at the same time, like Julius Randle can still shoot a few threes. Like he can make some threes. He could hit his shots. So let's not act like this is gonna be impossible for it to work. And then who knows? You know, Julius Randle doesn't work out. There's potentially maybe a team that at trade deadline they're willing to trade for Julius Randle. Who knows? We'll see. But I don't know. I think the biggest thing I would say overall to kind of sum up this trade is we're gonna have to wait till the teams actually play to figure out who really won. Kind of seeing the fit of these teams is gonna be the biggest thing, I think. Julius Randle's fit, Dante DiVincenzo's fit, and then obviously Cat's fit with the Knicks. But yeah, I mean, I want to see how both teams actually end up playing with their team. I want to see obviously what happens with Julius Randle. I think that's going to be a big thing in determining who really wins this trade. Is Julius Randle going to get an extension? Is he going to end up just walking in free agency? Like, what's going to happen with that? And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of overall what I would say to sum it up. Right now, I'd have a slight lean toward the Knicks because at the end of the day, this team definitely is competing for a ring. And if they win a ring, it doesn't really matter who you got rid of. It doesn't really matter how much you're paying. You won a ring, and that's kind of what every team's playing to do is win a ring. So yeah, that's what I would say to overall sum up the trade. Y'all let me know, obviously, your takes on the trade. Do you think the Timberwolves won? You thought the Knicks won? Y'all let me know. Obviously, like I said, this can go either way in terms of who in the end would win this trade. But yeah, and then, obviously I'm going to be back streaming back on YouTube. This is obviously just a YouTube video, but majority of what I'm going to be doing is streaming and then just putting the videos on this YouTube channel. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm back.